Hey guys, this is North 49 RC. We're just taking the dog out for a little bit of an off-leash walk here, and gonna just throw my opinion in there on the remote ID thing. Let's just talk on the personal side of stuff. Myself, I've been flying for about 3 years now, and it's been fixed wing. I've just kind of got into quadcopters. I do a lot of home built, buy kits, anything from like foamies to balsa. If you look at my channel, actually the majority of it's like foam board, so I'm kind of cheap that way. This remote ID thing is not only not a good idea for the hobbyists, but it's not a good idea just on a national security sort of sense either. Now, even if we just talk about the hobbyists themselves, you're basically looking to transpond a signal with remote ID of not only the location of the drone, but also location of the pilot. Now, where this gets to be a little bit of a crutch is that transponding the location of the pilot puts that pilot at risk. And there's been a lot of videos out there where people understand this, people in the hobby. Now, putting people at risk to be the victims of like any sort of violence, aggression, that kind of thing, really steps on the fact that you're really not thinking about this whole thing, and it really stabs you as far as like the trust factor as well. Who am I talking to? The FAA. We'll just call it the FAA just because they're the ones that kind of started this whole situation. And as we know, any governing body that is in charge of aviation across the globe, they have their own national governing bodies for that. So what they're going to do is they're going to end up following suit anyway. All right, so let's just take this by example. 14-year-old Danny is out. He's flying his drone in a parks around inside of a neighborhood, and he's flying a sub 250 craft, albeit fixed wing, call it a quad, whatever it is. The fact that somebody can take a free app, they can get off like Apple Store or like Play Store or anything like that, and find Danny's location, Danny's going to be in panic. Now, say it's not 14-year-old Danny, say it's an adult. Say anybody who has a cell phone, pay as you go or whatever it is, gets this free app, and this person's just looking for like something to steal for drug money. Now this person probably has the wherewithal to pull out a knife, pull out a gun, take the equipment, take it to a pawn shop, and then sell it off for whatever cash. Or the possibility is they could be using the gear themselves. Now Danny, say he is flying something that does require the remote ID, something over 250 grams. Now the problem becomes this gear that Danny has purchased, that is registered to Danny, is now on the market. Right? It's out there for them to use nefariously. You want to make the skies safer. You want to make it easier for these drones to be tracked for like air traffic, anything like that. You don't want these drones to be anywhere within 4 miles of a airport or airstrip. You don't want these drones to be anywhere up above 400 feet, which the skies are already a highway. As far as the hobbyist goes, with RC planes, we already have a 400-foot hard ceiling. Now, manned aircraft has a hard deck of 500 feet. So you have 100 feet of separation between the two. That's pretty much like the lines on a highway or sidewalks on the side of the road. You got the people who are operating RC planes that are on the sidewalk. Now, if that RC plane or somebody on a sidewalk crosses over into the road, they put themselves at risk. Same thing when a car drives on a sidewalk. It's putting everybody at risk. So you already have that line of separation. So there should be no need to put remote ID on anything. Actually, in fact, when it comes down to it, FAA, there's ultralights that people build in the back of their garage. They don't need a license to fly. They don't need to register the craft. And they can take it up just as somebody who's got like a driver's license. You don't even need a driver's license. It's ridiculous. Yet you want to remote ID these RC craft. Doesn't make any sense. I'm pretty sure that an ultralight that's built in somebody's garage would have a higher chance of taking out many people as opposed to an RC plane that weighs 500 grams, a kilogram. Really? Not buying it. Now let's talk about the national security thing. This is another way that you're trying to sell us on this, the whole remote ID. It's going to make the skies safer. Well, it's just like anything else that registers. You have to register your drone in order to be compliant. But anybody in their right mind that has nefarious intent isn't going to be registering anything. They're not going to be registering drones, just like anything else. You don't rob a bank with a gun that's registered to you or have a getaway car that's registered to you. You use stolen weapons and a stolen getaway vehicle. So it's not going to get rid of any of these people with nefarious intent. Chances are, anybody that's going to be flying these drones that aren't registered is going to be somebody that has no idea about the hobby, found somebody at the mall who's selling like drones out of the back of his Pinto for like $50, and he's going to use them for nefarious intent. And they're not going to register it. So who are you punishing? Now, on the other side of national security, you want to be safe. You're seeing drones being used as weapons in the Russian-Ukraine war. Sure, it's technology. It's out there. It's cheap. It's easy to get your hands on. And they're easy to fly. Thing is, your remote ID modules are also going to be used for nefarious intent. Remember Danny? We were talking about Danny? And his drone got stolen? Here's a scenario for you. Let's say that Danny's drone was stolen by somebody who probably held him up at like knife point. Now, they're taking that remote ID off that drone. They're going to bring it into an airport. They're going to enable it and tag it to a taxi, a shuttle bus, any sort of limousine, anything that travels within and around the airport at any given point in time. Now, what's this going to mean? If we remember Gatwick, remember Heathrow, having a drone in airspace will shut that airport down for days. And you guys are going to be chasing a rubber chicken because you won't know where this drone is, because you'll be looking for a drone and really it's just a remote ID that's tagged to just a regular commercial vehicle like a taxi, a limousine, a shuttle bus. You're not going to know. And the whole thing is that number that is attached to that remote ID is now attached to Danny's name, and you're going to ostracize Danny for it. Honestly, the only people that you're really satisfying with this whole remote ID is yourselves. Because really, when we look at the history of the FAA, you guys have handshake deals with Boeing, huh? How many problems have we had there because of those handshake deals? How much blood was spilled on those? Do you think that instills a bunch of trust in you guys? Now you guys want to start imposing laws and everything on people that are absolute innocents just to get your own handshake deal going with these corporations that want to put like delivery drones in the sky and stuff? Yeah, doesn't look good. It's not a very good image for you guys. Now, the thing is, you can sell this to whoever you want and use whatever words, fine print that you feel like. Words like "at this time." Yeah, we know what's coming up. You're fully trying to shut this whole hobby down. Problem is, we see through your sleight of hand verbiage. We're on to you, and we know what's up. What we need to do is start educating the general public as to what your intents are. So let's put a bit of a conclusion on this. Obviously, all these people that are in the hobby, there's hundreds and thousands of them all over the planet. They can see the writing on the wall. And really, it's not looking good for anybody here. You don't save face by trying to save the planet from these deadly drones. Yeah, seen your video about little Danny that you put out there just to make vilified drones, any quadcopters, that kind of stuff, unless it has something to do with the state. Now, the problem is that you're just trying to free up the airways so you can get away with all this kind of stuff. You want to do all the spying. You want to do all the law enforcement as opposed to sending out officers. You want to do these like medical rescues and stuff like that with drones. It's not going to work out. These drone deliveries and stuff like that, these Amazons, that kind of stuff, it's not going to work out. The technology isn't there. It's not economically viable. And the thing is that we all see through this. We get it. We understand it. You don't. You gave us the opportunity to voice our opinions. We sent in something like 63,000 letters to the FAA and emails and stuff like that. You didn't listen to a word of it. We know you didn't. You weren't intending to. You're just going through the motions so you can get these laws passed. They call it what, an NPRM or something like that? You don't want to understand the industry. You're just looking at your corporate pockets and you want to fill them. You're like fat pigs at the trough. We see this. We understand it. And it's not only that we're trying to be vindictive, we're trying to save a hobby that has taught, inspired people like Neil Armstrong, one of the USA's national heroes for landing on the moon. He started off in RC flight, making little airplanes on his own. There's so many STEM projects out there that could happen because of this. Now, you did say you were going to approve FRIAs. You're going to approve one FRIA every 4 months and had basically a predicted estimate of 4,000 FRIAs that you were going to put up there. Even if you had 5 people on deck to approve these FRIAs, one every 4 months, we're still going to be into the next millennium before we actually see 4,000. There's 110,000 schools that are in the US alone. How are you going to reach out to all them? You're not. You haven't even handed out one FRIA yet. There's people that have been applying for them all over the place. And you're not doing anything about it. You're just trying to shut this down. And the problem is, you're stifling so much education. You're basically forcing all these kids to just stay at home and play video games. And as far as like the RC flight that has been going on for decades, lifetime already, nobody, not one person has ever been killed. Not one drop of blood has been spilled because of RC planes. Nobody has died. Yet, a governing body such as you, FAA, people have died in manned aircraft all over the place. You're not worried about them. How come? How come they're not transponding ADS-B? Huh? Why are they not forced to comply with that? They fly people around in their airplanes and crash into the ground in highly populated neighborhoods. Yet you're not coming down on them. I just don't understand it. Doesn't make any sense, especially coming from a governing body such as yourself. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. Thanks for showing up. Have a good one.